Well, what I always hear, which is true, we say down south, at least we know they're racist.
Right.
Yeah.
Like up north, it's like you said, it's kind of like subtle and hidden,
Right.
you know, making it look like they're not racist, but they really are, subtly. And I grew up with the KKK.
Mm-hmm.
You know, KKK came and marched in Wilson. They had their rallies in Wilson because Dr. Richards saw black people. They burned a cross in front of his house. Those are the things that I had to deal with growing up. And people would do things like there was this store owner who would say something to these other girls that we knew. They would say, "Hey, Bigfoot, hey, Bigfoot." And they'd be laughing. My mother says, "Don't you ever allow these white people to disrespect you. If they ever call you out your name," she told us what to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and it was my mom was like, mm. And even in my school, although it was an all black school, the word got out. 7 Bynum girls in that school. Don't you mess with those Bynum girls. That
Mm-hmm.
was the word out, because my mother would be right there, you know, target, you know. So we had to have that protection from our parents, you know. And I know that growing up smaller, we would play with the little white girl next door, and then when we got a little bit older, she was like, nowhere to be found. That's fine with us, you know. But
Yeah, and I'm gonna just kind of jump in because you know that seems to be common.
yeah,
Because I remember friends that I had in high school, and it seemed like as you started getting right around graduation,
just like
it seemed like we hit a fork in
Pick
the
a side.
they become their parents.
and I think what that really sheds light on is the fact that these are learned
Behaviors.
societal behaviors.
Right.
They're not organic, right?
Nope.
You meet someone, you like them, you bond with them, you don't think about all these other things. But as society,
You're forced
this
to
is
pick
the
a side.
order, and people are exactly what you said. They're forced to pick a side. And what that may mean is people that they legitimately like, that are friends, they no longer can be friends with. They no longer can associate with. And I think these are some of the things as we move forward as far as conversations and different topics that, you know, you're just kind of touching the tip of the iceberg, because these are legitimate conversations and experiences. Like you said, you grew up seeing KKK crosses burning in lawns, and, you know, you had your own experiences. And then I think when we see some of the behaviors and actions of black community today, you know, respect is a big thing. You know, especially in today's society. I mean, respect just on social media can end someone's life.
Yeah.
Or the perceived lack of respect can end someone's life.
You didn't like my post, bro?
Right. And I think that goes to the history, though, of the reality that there's a group of people that, you know, and there's several groups, but we're just speaking of this group right here, is that, you know, there are groups of people that have just been disrespected. And that kind of has been embedded in them, ingrained in them, and you know, you're defensive. You don't want someone else to do what you've seen them do to someone else you care about. So that shapes how you interact. Because you mentioned, you know, some stories, and you know, I know my early years I had issues with, you know, the law, you know, the police, and they were minor things. I mean, I remember one time I got pulled over for speeding. And as I, you know, put my hand in my pocket to get the license, I think like pocket lint may have fallen out on the highway. And then the officer told me I had to get out and clean it up. I'm like, what are you talking? I'm like, I don't know, what are you talking about? I said, I complied, I gave you my license, and you want me to get out on the highway, which isn't even safe, and pick up trash. And it's not even trash. It was just
Lint.
whatever was in my pocket, like maybe an old piece of paper that got in the wash, and it's a little, I was like, but all that to say is, you know, I know when it happened, how I reacted, and I was angry, I was hostile, and, you know, I had to learn over years, you know, I had to, you know, conduct myself a certain way. I don't think I even told you guys this. I don't know if I ever told you this story.
I never. No, I'm hearing that.
No, it's another story. So I'm gonna tell you this story.
Oh.
Just, you know, these different experiences, but they seem to be common themes.
They're
Generational, where it sounds like you've experienced it, I've experienced it.
My sons.
Your sons have experienced it. If I had kids, children, I'm sure they would have experienced it. But